Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 18 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello and welcome back. This is episode 18 of the Well Done Life podcast, and I'm Pamela Davis. And happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is chilling out, relaxing. It's Memorial Day weekend, and it is 10:50 p.m. on May the 24th, and I'm reporting, and I am so excited to be here with you. And if you have just stumbled across the Well Done Life podcast, the Well Done Life podcast is my baby that I just birthed in February, and we are building a community together. This community is built up of people who are willing to share their stories in the hope that someone will grow and learn from their experiences and that we can just help each other grow. I don't really feel like there are experts out here. I think we've all been through a lot. And if we just actually sat down and had conversations and learned from each other, that there's nothing that we can't do. So we're here building this community and starting together. And I'm so glad that you could be here with me tonight on Sunday night. I am all over the map recording this podcast. And I'm going to be full transparency with you. This is probably, I think this is like my fourth time trying to record it. So I'm really hopeful. I said I'm just going to kind of go ahead and kick out all my preconceived notions and just kind of talk. Because what I wanted to talk about today was something that I've been observing in a lot of my friends and in a lot of myself and in myself lately, that with everything going on, and I'm sure you might be able to relate this too, we're all taking on so much more. We're working harder with work because we have less resources in a lot of instances. With everything going on with COVID-19, it's like you're going stir crazy sitting in the house and just trying to figure out when life is going to get back to normal. And there's fear. And on top of this, top of everything with COVID-19, I know personally here in Orlando, we're about to start hurricane season, and the fear is already being projected that it's going to be a very active season. So imagine having a global pandemic and a hurricane at the same time, and then layering on top of that this is an election year. It's like, come on. Can it get any more stressful? It's like everywhere you turn on television, there is some political commentator talking about somebody making these horrendous sound bites and blurbs, and just it's so much, and it's so overwhelming. And don't get me wrong, you do have to pay attention to the political cycle, because I think it's important for each of us to be active in the political process and to be able to express ourselves, because that's what the foundation of what our country is made of, even though it's not always equitable. And that's, again, a whole nother conversation. But it is something that we have to pay attention to. You can't help but pay attention to what's going on with COVID-19. You got people out here hanging out at the beach, partying like it's no thing. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to probably wait until like July to get a haircut. I don't care if I look like the Wolf Man. I'm just really not ready. I need to see a couple more people go out first, see how you fare, and then I'll make the decision of whether I'm going to go back out. But people are out here living their best life, and I mean, no begrudging to them, but it's just like, it's craziness. So I say all of that to say, I think it's okay for all of us to get to a point if we say, I'm not okay. I know that probably sounds simple, but you know what? Saying that you're not okay is not a simple thing. And I can't speak for everyone else, of course, but I can always speak for myself. And I've said in many podcasts before that a part of me that I work with or I deal with, I compartmentalize my pain. So it's easier for me to deal with things in boxes and bites versus all at one time. And with that compartmentalization, I tend not to be the most communicative person when I'm going through things. And if you know me, you know that that's very true. I tend to process things internally because it works out in my mind easier for me versus being able to express it a lot of times to people. One, because I tend to feel that people have their own stuff going on and they don't need to take on my stuff too. And then two, is just a part of my ability or love of intention. I feel like if you put things in the atmosphere too much, especially if they're negative, you bring that back to you. And I know that that's probably sounding counterintuitive to what I'm saying, but hear me out. Saying that you're not okay it's just what it is. It's just, I'm not okay. So let's try it out. Or I'm not okay with the way that things are going with this political cycle. Or I'm not okay that I'm taking a pay cut at work. I'm not okay because my mother or sister are afraid of getting sick and they're afraid that I'm going to make them sick. And because of that, we're social isolating in my home. I'm not okay. And it doesn't mean that you're speaking negatively over yourself. You're just admitting that there's an area that you're not okay with. And you're opening yourself up to conversation about it slightly, or at least acknowledging it. And I don't know. Again, not an expert in solving problems, but I know from my previous experiences through life and as I've grown and gotten better and gone through counseling, one of the things that I truly had to learn was having the ability to say that it's not okay. I had to learn how to say it's not okay that I'm a caregiver and I'm okay. I'm not happy about it sometimes. I had to learn how to say that emotionally I'm not okay with that. Or I had to learn how to say, that I'm not okay, that I'm sitting here struggling with certain things. It's tough. And I had to learn how to be vulnerable in that regard. And I think a lot of times that we need to learn how to do that. I'm not okay with the way that the government is being run. I'm not okay that I see people out on the street. I happen to be taking a friend to work today because she didn't have a ride. And she's a single mom and she didn't have anyone else to help her out. So I wanted to help her out. And I saw a single mom on the street corner with her 2 kids asking for money for Pampers. And I'm not okay with that. And don't get me wrong, that could have been a scam, whatever. But even if that's a scam, that's still a problem. The fact that somebody feels like that is their way of being able to get ahead, that they have to stand on the corner with their 2 kids to hustle up some cash. And they weren't like teenage kids. These are like toddlers sitting in a double stroller, umbrella stroller, chilling out under a stop sign. It's a problem, And a lot of times, I personally know for me, I take a lot of things in. I like I mentioned before, I have a tendency at times to be sensitive. But I know that it's okay that I say that I'm not okay about it. And I just don't think that a lot of people are giving themselves that grace. And I think it's so important, especially with everything going on, that we learn how to give ourselves grace. I think giving grace to yourself is one of the most foundational things that you can do, especially as you get older. Because there are going to be so many mistakes that you are going to make. And it's not intentional, many of these mistakes. Or there's going to be so many things that may come up that hurt your feelings, that you have to be okay giving yourself grace when you fuck up. You really do. And you have to be able to give other people grace when they mess up against you. It's just giving yourself grace enough to say that I'm not okay and acknowledging it, and giving yourself grace enough to forgive other people when they violate you. It's about growth, and being able to extend that okay or not okay, that's growth. And I just think it's really important that we look at it and that we think about those things, especially right now, because again, we are in this cycle of things that are just coming at us. And if we don't learn how to navigate them as whole people, they can consume you. That's why you have people who are depressed, and that's why you have people who are hurting themselves. Because they're not giving themselves grace. they're not acknowledging it. They're not saying and communicating how they're feeling. And I just think that it's so important that we get to a point where we're able to do that. And we have to, because if we don't get to that point, what do? You create a society of people who can't communicate with each other, and not everyone is able to process their emotions in the most appropriate way. And it becomes chaos in so many different ways. So I just think it's important that we learn how to say that I'm not okay. But then at the same time, there's a flip to that. And the flip of that is being able to say that I am okay. Meaning, I'm okay not having this conversation with you right now because it's going to disrupt my peace. Or saying at work, I'm okay not answering this email right now because I'm in the middle of working with something that I need to give my full undivided attention to, and letting it sit for a while is not going to hurt it. Or I'm okay not allowing this person in my life, because if I allow this person into my life, I know that they're not going to help me elevate, and they're going to drain on me spiritually. So I need to remove myself from the situation. I think it's okay to say I'm okay, because I'm okay is an opportunity for you to give boundaries. Grace in one sense, boundaries in another. Because especially with everything going on with COVID-19 and the political cycle and all these different things, you have to be able to set boundaries, and to be okay with those boundaries and not let anyone disturb your peace. You have to protect your peace at all costs. Peace is the most valuable weapon that we have outside of time in order for us to be able to live our best life. And sometimes I feel like we gamble and give away our peace like we're passing out chicken. And it's ridiculous, because your peace is that one thing that supplements you. When you're not at peace, like I've mentioned before, especially if you're a woman or the foundation of your home, if you're not at peace, nobody in your house is at peace. You are the center of that peace. So your peace is essential. But again, I feel like we don't value it. We degrade it so for the sake of other people, when we have to recognize that setting that peace and protecting that peace is a boundary. And giving that boundary is giving ourselves grace. And that boundary and grace are sufficient for everybody. They may not be happy about it, but they'll get over it. And you will be happier for it, because you have put that limit and given yourself that grace and that energy. I just feel like we're not doing that, and you can see it. You can see it in the amount of frustration sometimes when people are dealing with things and dealing with other people, because people are so angry. And I just feel like all that energy that you spend being angry is just taking away from you. And right now we have to preserve everything that we can put inside of ourselves to keep ourselves healthy. Immunity is not just about the food that you put in your stomach, but it's the energy that you put around you. It's the peace that's within you. It's the rest that you're getting at night. You don't get good rest when you're not at peace. You don't get good rest when you're upset. So again, you have to set boundaries and give yourself grace so that you can have that holistic view of yourself. Not just the amount of vitamins, not the food that you eat, but the way that you speak over yourself and the way that you allow others to speak to you, what you take in. It's a critical time. We have to guard that. So I kind of said like I wanted to have a quick conversation about it, because I think that we just have to learn how to set grace and boundaries, that we have to learn how to say it's okay and I'm not okay, because we deserve that. It's about having those honest conversations with ourselves and other people, because when we're honest and we're graceful and we have boundaries, great things will happen. It's not an overnight process, but great things will happen. So I just want to make sure that we're extending grace with each other, that we're sending boundaries with each other, and giving ourselves the peace that we need so that we can ultimately live our best life. So, like I said, I just wanted to make sure I dropped that gem. I hope that it feeds your soul a little bit because it's so important right now, especially as we're moving forward. Things are definitely changing, and I just think we have to sometimes kick it back to the basics so that we can move forward in greatness. So I hope that this will give you something to start the week off. I hope tomorrow everyone gets an opportunity to relax and chill. Maybe check out the pod, but at the same time, spend some time with your family. Laugh. Watch a lot of Netflix if that makes you happy. Listen to a lot of music. Go outside and get some sun. But just have a good time and do something that makes you feel amazing. Don't let anyone rob your peace this week. Set boundaries for your grace and your happiness because you matter more than you know. And if anyone hasn't told you, I'm telling you, you are precious and your happiness matters. So take care of yourself. So I hope you liked this podcast. And if you do, please like and share it. I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere the podcasts are found. As well as you can also reach out to me by email at thewelldonelife@gmail.com. Or you can reach me on Twitter at I am Pamela L. Davis, as well as Facebook and Instagram at Pamela Davis. So I hope that I get an opportunity to connect with you again next week. And again, don't hesitate to give me any feedback that you have on future episodes or how we can get better. And to all the first responders out there, because that's a part of my podcast, I want to say again, thank you for all that you do. All the people on the front line, all the people at the grocery stores. I know that things are getting a little more lax, but I want to say thank you because you have put your life on the line to make it easier for us. And I still appreciate you, especially in this time of uncertainty, because I know that this isn't over. So no matter how much we're getting back to life, we still have to understand that these people are doing a lot for us. So I just want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of you guys for listening. I hope you have an amazing Memorial Day, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.